Today, it's time to answer your questions about this bike. Over the almost 4 years and 125 riding hours I had on this bike, I have produced a lot of content about it, and then I also got a lot of questions from you about this bike. So today I will answer some of the most frequently asked questions about this bike. So let's get started. So let's start with the first question, and I'll look at my sheet here. How's the power? Your bike looks good on you. Thank you for that. And if we go to the power, the manufacturer, they are claiming 40 horsepower, but that is of course not the truth. Maybe they mean that it's on the crank, but on the rear wheel for sure not. I've always felt that it's not close to 40 horsepower, and I recently watched a video where they were dyno testing this engine on a similar bike, the Hengjian, and at that test it was around 21 horsepower. That feels more reasonable than the 40 claimed, but I still think it is plenty of power if you're a beginner or if you're an old vet rider, I am, or if you're riding slow technical trails or something like that. Do I wish that I had more power? Yeah, of course. Sometimes, especially in steeper hill climbs, it would be really nice to have better power and a little bit better bottom and grunt so I could lug up better. And now on to the next question. How much did you pay for this bike? Did you pay by bank transfer? How much did I pay? I paid $2,810, and that included some spare parts. I ordered a piston kit and some brake pads, some air filters. I also ordered chain guides, chain slide, chain rollers, and stuff like that. I haven't actually used anything except for the air filter of that. I haven't had a need to replace that. And then on top of that, there of course were some shipping fees and import fees to Thailand. So I roughly paid $3,400 or $3,300 at my doorstep. It is very inexpensive to import from China to Thailand. We only have 7% VAT, so that is a very good price. And there was a 10% discount at the day when I bought it because they had a live event on Alibaba, and then they gave a 10% discount. Since I ordered it via Alibaba, I used Alibaba's payment system, and they have a lot of different variations how you can pay. You can do the bank transfer, you can also use the credit card, Visa, Master, and so on, and PayPal. So I used a PayPal account where I had connected one of my Visa cards. There was an additional fee to that to use PayPal, but that was an extra additional safety for me because there was an insurance in PayPal. So here in Thailand we can actually do a local bank transfer. Alibaba has a bank account here in Thailand, so we can do that, and that is very fast and inexpensive, so that is very, very good. And one thing to know when you order a bike and pay for something, on Alibaba it is like that you have to confirm that you have received your, whatever you ordered, my dirt bike in this case, before they release the money to the seller. So that is an extra security for you. If there is an issue, if you don't get what you ordered, the seller will not receive their money. You will have a refund. So that is pretty good. Let's go to the next question. That's an awesome bike, bro. How much did you spend to purchase it? And if you could give me the supplier's name. Yeah. How much I spent for the bike, I answered in the previous question, and I purchased the bike directly from the manufacturer, Kamax. Their name on Alibaba is not Kamax. It's Chongqing something, but I will post a link in the video description because I can't remember exactly the name to the manufacturer's name on Alibaba. And on to the next one. Any update? How is it holding up? I have made several videos about how it is, 1 year review, 3 year review, and so on. The bike is holding up very, very well. I haven't had a single technical issue yet. Of course, as you can see, it's beaten up, but I've been riding extreme enduro and hard enduro, and it is 125 hours on the meter right now, but there hasn't been anything that is broken. The only thing was the air filters, not good quality, and the rubber thingies that are holding the side plate for the air filter box in place and the air filter cage. Those rubber thingies were not good. I replaced them with KTM parts. They contain a little bit more silicone, so they are much more durable. There were some other rubber parts here that wasn't the best. But it could be something with the harsh weather conditions here in Thailand with the extreme sunshine and so on. But the bike is holding up very, very well. There is no technical issues whatsoever so far, and knock on wood, 4 years, and it has held up very well. Next question. Does the dirt bike come with both headlight and a regular plate if I don't want the headlight? Yeah, that is correct. I'm running without the headlight. I have removed everything electrical on this one. There is not a single wire that is not needed because I don't use it, and then it's less components that can fail. But it even comes with a headlight, the rear light, and the blinkers and the horn and everything. So it could be run on the streets. I don't know where you can get it street legal, but it has everything you need for that. The next question. These bikes aren't 39 horsepower or 40 horsepower. They are a lot less than that. Correct, as I earlier mentioned, it is not 40. It's more realistic to say it's around 20-25 horsepower, I believe. But when talking about power, there are plenty of stuff you can do to this Longines engine, so you can get it a little bit more powerful. I have the Smart Carb. That is a pretty expensive upgrade, but Smart Carb, they claim that you will have 10% extra power. I'm not sure about it, but they claim that, and it's a lot more fuel efficient. You can also place a spacer between the reeds and the intake here, and that should give you more bottom end grunt, which is not so bad. If you can find another flywheel, it will also give you better bottom end grunt. There are more things that you can do, and it's about research the Yamaha DT230 or the Longines 224 cubic centimeter engine. You will find more on that. The next one. How can I buy a bike like that? From Alibaba? Yes, as I mentioned, I bought this one on Alibaba, and that worked out really well for me. So there is a link in the video description if you would like to check it out. On to the next one. What's the top speed for this bike? That is a question that I actually can't answer. I removed the speedometer and that stuff pretty early, so I never checked it, and I have never kind of been going flat out more than a few times. I didn't have any speedometer. I was about to do some tests with a GPS app and so on, but I never did, and now I have made so many changes and upgrades for the bike, so it's not stock anymore. But I would guess around 120 kilometers or something like that. For me, it's plenty enough since I'm going slow and technical, enduro, hard enduro like and so on. So I don't need this. The top speed was never a priority for me. The next question says, any problems so far? As I mentioned before, I haven't had any issues at all. Of course, it's beaten up and I have replaced what you need to replace, my tires, my sprockets, the chain, and so on. And I also replaced some levers, gear shift lever and brake lever, because hard enduro is hard on the bike. But there is not a single malfunction so far, knock on wood. And the next question, it's a little bit similar to the last one. How's the quality of this dirt bike? As I said, I haven't had any problems at all. I believe it's actually really, really good quality. And the Longines engine, it's a very, very durable engine, so that is good. It's very easy to find spare parts for the engine as well. Everything is on AliExpress, and most of the plastics, I think all of it, as you can see, it is KTM, so it's very easy. You can buy it in your local shop or on AliExpress or other online shops, not a problem at all. On my website, which I link in the video description below, I have links to all of the spare parts for the engine and other stuff on the website, and I also marked which of them I have tried out myself and so on. So there's no problem finding any spare parts. How's your bike holding up? Have you had to replace anything? How was the carb jetting from factory? Any help appreciated? Yes, as I said, no problem at all. So let's go to the carb. Of course, it depends on where you're living and the conditions. If you're living close to the sea level, if it's hot or cold or what it is. When I got it, I lived in Phuket, so I lived at sea level, and it's very hot down there and pretty humid. But I think it was pretty okay for those conditions. I didn't know very much about dirt bikes at that time, so I didn't think so much about it. But when I have checked my old videos, it seems like it was pretty okay. Then we moved up here to Chiang Mai. We are living at 330 meters elevation. It was still pretty okay, but now going up a little bit on the higher mountains, of course I could notice something, but that has nothing to do with the carb itself. It's about physics. So I think it was pretty okay. But I very fast replaced it with my smart carb because I don't like to do jetting and stuff all the time. I want to have it running instead of being in the garage and do jetting and stuff. So I have the smart carb. Next question. Can you adjust the seat height of this bike? If so, can you make a video about it? Yes, you can do. I made a video about how you can lower this bike. It's just one bolt down here in the linkage system. You change it, it's 5-10 minutes worked, so it's very easy to do that. Of course, you're also lowering your ground clearance when you do that. But as you can see, I have this orange seat, and it's not a stock one because it's black, and this is a 30 millimeter lowered seat. I have the stock seat here. It's absolutely no problem, nothing wrong with the stock seat, but I wanted to have the lower seat even though I am 6 foot tall, 183 centimeters. Since I'm doing some hard enduro, then I really would like to reach the ground more easily. So I prefer to have this one, the lowered seat. I can put a link in the video description below, and then you can purchase that one as well. That is one other way to lower the bike. How hard is it to put together? I made a video when I unboxed it and I put it together. And at that time I hadn't had a dirt bike for 34 years, and this was the first time I was assembling it. I was riding as a teenager and I didn't do much maintenance. It was my father. And I could put it together. It comes with the forks off, the handlebar is off, and the front wheel is off, and the linkage system you need to put together as well. That's kind of it, and you need to connect some cables. So I would say it's not difficult at all. If you are normal maintenance guy, so you can do a little bit with a screwdriver and a wrench, then it's absolutely not a problem to do that. Next question. I bought a Kamax 250, but I don't get a reaction from Kamax. If I need new parts, where or what can I buy? Maybe you know. Yes, as I mentioned before, check out my website. There are links to a lot of the parts, especially the engine parts. They are on AliExpress. If you need any bodyworks or anything, most of it is from KTM. The suspension is a clone from WP, so most of the parts from WP will fit your suspension as well. Also, what is this bike based off of? Was it a certain year, KTM? I think it's a little bit of a mix. First, the engine, it's the Longines 224 cubic centimeter, which is used in Yamaha DT230. And I believe the bodywork is a KTM 250 EXC, and around 2020, the suspension, the fork and the rear shock, they are an early clone of WP around mid 2010, so around 2014-15 or something like that, maybe a little bit earlier. Hello, how is the suspension on this bike? Is it the same as a real KTM? Thinking about getting one of these in Thailand. Is it the same as the Hengjian? The suspension is not the same as a real KTM. It isn't close even. It's a much more bouncy. I think I have been riding enduro, trail riding, hard enduro, extreme enduro, and some amateur supercross, and it actually works pretty okay. For supercross, it is a little bit soft. You need to grease your landing so it's not bottoming out. But when you go on hard enduro, especially the forks, it's very bouncy and it's too hard. I'm now considering replacing my fork springs with a softer for WP, and they are here in Thailand pretty expensive, but I'm gonna have them sent to me from Sweden a lot cheaper. So that would make them less bouncy. I'm running on the softest compression settings and very fast rebound to have it a little bit softer. And I also let out a little bit of the oil to have it even more plush. But it is very, very hard and harsh in the beginning of the stroke, which is not very nice when you're doing slower technical riding. At least that is not what I want to have. If it is the same as Heng Jiang, this is just another name of the same bike. There could be some small differences. When they base their bike off another bike, they change some small things, do some upgrades, what they think is better and so on, maybe change the look a little bit and the decals and stuff like that. But it is, here you can actually see Heng Jiang on the engine case here. So Heng Jiang came up with a bike and then a lot of other manufacturers base it off that one. So that was the last question for today's Q&A. If you do have some more questions, just post them in the comments below and I will try to answer them. But in general, I'm very pleased with the bike. I don't have any issues at all. So far, it has worked out for the riding I am doing and the skill level I am at. So if you're not aiming for the national championships or world championships or something like that, it is a really good bike just to ride on the weekends if that's what you do, or to get into the sport. So thank you very much for watching, and if you got this far, please consider give the video a like. That's all I got for this time. See you next time. Bye.